Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review for you guys. And surprisingly, the official manga chapter actually released as of today on Friday. Weird enough, huh? Really weird. Because typically that's like when the unofficial, translations, the unofficial, chapters has came out by then because it's typically that Fridays that it comes out. But the official came out today. Stuff obviously. Now the reason why My Hero Academia came out this week as opposed to last week was, well, because obviously Koi Horikoshi was ill and he needed a break off. Again, listen, I completely would understand why he needs a break off with the ever-living landscape of, well, the virus out there. Especially that it's like I heard it's really bad out there in Japan now. As well as the fact that, well, guess what? Maybe he was just probably fatigued. We don't know. They just said health reasons. It could have been fatigue, could have been seriously health issues. But again, like I said, any incoming break we get for this story, I'm not really gonna be on the fence of why you have to take a break. One, listen, I think everybody needs a break in a while from writing such a great story. And then, like I said, this man Horikoshi's been putting out fire chapter after fire chapter after fire chapter. So this man deserves a good break. Hell, he deserves a whole month break. But obviously, he can't do that till, well, he finishes up this story once and for all. But yes, chapter 326 was a very interesting chapter, to say the least, because in this chapter, we essentially focus on All Might and we get the faded All Might hero killer Stain conversation that was like hinted at or like, referent, or was a thing that was supposed to happen like early on in the story. But because everything that's came out of hand, well, we're getting it now with everything. And originally, this whole discussion was supposed to be taking place in Tartaros and what All Might wanted. But when things came loose, the hero killer Stain was set free and stuff like that. And yeah, so anyways, let's, my God, let me get my drink. Okay, let's go. Whew. I'm not gonna edit that out. Anyways, let's start the manga chapter off. Chapter 326. Now we see All Might driving in his car and stuff like that, and it's obviously, he's just looking for obviously Deku after the whole, incident when Deku just upped and left him, and he's wondering where, he's gonna be at and stuff like that. So we also find out that he was checking on hero hating groups who refused to join a shelter, ectoplasm, and stuff like that. Now, we get the chapter, and the chapter title is Who Are You Really? So we see, obviously, All Might get to Kamino, where his statue is, and we see, and he's looking down at, obviously, Deku's mask and everything. And he's starting to look over at the statue that has, obviously, the poster board saying that I'm not here and stuff like that and everything. Now, All Might essentially, after picking up the Deku's mask, he's like, you couldn't do anything for your disciple when he was hurting. And essentially All Might here is kind of blaming himself for not taking better care of Deku, not being a good, mentor to Deku like he is. And he also goes on to make the mention of the fact that, that he's just getting in the way, and he's just essentially there for the ride and he can't do nothing about it. Then lo and behold, hero killer Stain shows up out of nowhere and actually holds his sword right up to All Might's face. Now, the crazy thing is, All Might's not even fazed by this at all. Like, he's just standing firm. Like, there's two times in this chapter, like, this moment and then the later moment in the chapter where Stain literally, puts the freaking sword, his sword, like, literally right up next to All Might's throat, essentially, his neck, and All Might's not even fazed and stuff like that. And when Stain shows up, he's like, why are you speaking such blasphemy, such hatred towards a great hero? and everything. And he wants All Might to essentially take everything back he said. Now, All Might says, oh, look at, interesting, Hero Killer Stain. I never thought I would have been able to talk to you under these circumstances, but hey, I was looking to talk and stuff like that, so yeah, now, obviously Stain is like, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? And stuff like that. And obviously, this is Hero Killer Stain's first time seeing All Might. You gotta remember, guys, he got locked up back in season 2. This is literally back when All Might was still, well, the fact that he had his power and he was still nearing the end. Well, it was really nearing the end of his run as a pro hero. So obviously, Hero Killer Stain, he hasn't seen everything that's gone on. He didn't experience, he didn't witness what the battle between All Might and All For One. The fact that essentially All Might retired, he doesn't know any of that because he was in prison and stuff like that. So All Might's essentially telling Stain like, hey, listen, it's all right. Yeah, you missed a lot when you were in prison, but I'm the real All Might here, so here you go, and stuff like that. And obviously Stain is like, you're lying. You're not All Might. And even All Might goes into his buff form. We see a rare appearance of his buff form, which we haven't seen for quite a while, of the standpoint to show off to Stain like, no, it's really mean and everything. And obviously after he deforms, Hero Killer Stain is like looking at this, and All Might asks him like, you gonna kill me? And Stain is like, no, I'm not. And he's like, you're not All Might, you're just a damn faker. You're faking. And he goes on to put, his sword closer up to All Might's neck. So Stain goes on to say, here upon hero holy ground, you dare falsely claim the mantle of hero. Who are you really? And he goes on to say, why presume to call yourself a hero? Speak. Obviously All Might's like, well, you don't believe me, huh? I guess I can understand. And this is when All Might kind of goes into a monologue saying, my whole life I felt spurred to action. I couldn't sit back and accept it when the madness kept taking from people. When their daily lives were stolen away so seamlessly. Powerless though I was, I refused to sit on the sidelines. I had to make the world a better place now. In the meantime, we kind of get a quick little flashback to All Might in his younger days, and we see that essentially he did something similar to that of Deku, when I'm guessing is he rushed in to help somebody or save somebody, like how Deku in the very first episode of My Hero Academia rushed in to, it was either the first or second episode of My Hero Academia, the early chapters, when Deku rushed in to save Bakugo from the slime creature. Obviously, All Might's like, but my time has run its course and stuff like that, and because of everything I've built myself up for, look at this. This is the end result. And again, All Might's not wrong because he did most of the saving, which made heroes kind of back off and kind of be like, yeah, we don't really need to have that hold on this because All Might's got this and stuff like that. So All Might goes and says, I give my life in an instant to protect my disciple, but I couldn't bring myself to tell him to take time for himself. He goes on to say, it's hard to explain. I feel as if I'm the only one who's become more and more distant from heroes, from heroism. Hero Killer Stain grabs him and hides him and stuff like that. And this is when Hero Killer Stain is like, why don't you go look at that? And we see this lady come out of the blue, and she goes on to look at obviously the All Might sign. And she sees the whole thing about the whole All Might sign saying, I am not here. And essentially Stain tells All Might, he goes on to say that every day this girl, even though through everything that's been happening in these hard times, has always come back, or who's been living at this nearby shelter, has always come over here, seen this whole statue, and she's been over there, cleaning it and stuff like that. And we find out that, this woman was the last woman All Might saved, and essentially she was the woman under the building during the Camino War battle, during the fight with All For One, if you remember that, and stuff like that. And obviously this resonates with All Might and he's shocked. So Stain goes on to say, in the worst of times, All Might would maintain that grin and devote every fiber of his being to the people. It had nothing to do with powers or quirks. He goes on to say, the man we all knew as All Might could not live his life any other way. He carved those ideals into his very soul and was lauded for it. Who are you to presume to know the first thing about All Might? No. Look upon that woman. The end result, you say, his influence lives on. And he goes on to make the mention about the whole like fire. He's like, yeah, you say All Might's fire is dead, but there's still a flickering, flame still left, behind. And essentially, it's for the next generation, essentially, as he's saying, to make the flame grow and carry on so then it can turn back into a blaze of fire. Stain goes on to say, the people must not let that fire die out. No matter how undignified the struggle, they must stroke the flames so long as they draw breath. And obviously this resonates with All Might to the point he starts crying and bawling out. And Stain, as he's walking off, goes on to say, a hero can only claim that title as long as his soul burns fiercely in service of others. Say a god has fallen prostrate upon the earth, and his divine soul is turned feeble and mortal. What you saw, that's all this time you've been. No, I don't presume to know you, but if you are a true hero, make use of this information from my time in Tartaros. So we find out that Stain had this information from Tartaros, obviously about the breakouts and everything that was going on and stuff like that. Then the chapter ends with Stain essentially saying, then come for the life of Stain, the man who murdered 40 heroes, for the sake of fixing this society. And obviously then the rainy skies clear out, and that's it. And that's where the chapter ends off. This was a very, very good chapter of My Hero Academia. Essentially, Stain, getting quote unquote All Might back in the game, I guess you could say. Now, it's gonna be interesting to see what All Might will be doing, how his character will be going forward every now and then. Is he just gonna stay in his feeble form and just go out there and maybe try to fight the best he can? Or maybe he does something. Now, hey, maybe my guess is this. Listen, I don't know if I said this in my manga chapter reviews, and I don't remember if I'd thrown this out in my anime reviews, whether this was in season 4 or something, but, we know that Eri used her quirk to be able to bring back Mirio's quirk. Now, I'm not saying Eri could use her quirk on All Might, rewind him back to the time when he had one for all and all that stuff, because that power within him is gone. I think what maybe Eri can at the least do is essentially potentially rewind All Might back to his prime All Might years, where his body isn't obviously with the whole, the whole injury he had, where he could only maintain his his super All Might form to them. So maybe, Eri, rewinds All Might where he's able to be in combat shape. Now, obviously, All Might won't have one for all anymore, because technically that whole fire of all one for all is gone within him. The least maybe Eri could do is rewind All Might back to his prime state, because he's still a pretty strong guy, even at base level. He just doesn't have, obviously the power he once wielded, but who knows, he could still be just as powerful. I definitely could see maybe they do that, and they have it to where maybe, he confronts All for One, and that's his real true final battle, when maybe he sacrifices his life once and for all and probably is killed off. Which, listen, at this point, it's just a ticking time clock to when All Might eventually is going to be sacrificed. I just have a feeling that Horikoshi is going to give us that All Might sacrifice, which will make Deku be able to save everyone and get Japan back to normal. I just know within the hardest of my hearts that we're going to get the All Might death. I really do believe the All Might death is going to be coming sooner rather than later. definitely, if not sooner, it's gonna happen in the final battle. I definitely could see where All Might wants to fight alongside Deku because that's his pupil, and he's like, listen, I need to be there for my pupil, as he's always been there for me. And maybe that's when he's gonna have his last final battle, and that's when he's gonna sacrifice his life and he's gonna be gone, which will help Deku, you know, obviously get over the edge, and then we can end the story out there. So I definitely can do that. In terms of Stain, I liked how Stain, you know, came up and he gave the inspiration to All Might, essentially telling him like this. And I feel like Stain knew, like he says, even though I know in the chapter he says he doesn't know who All Might is, but I think, you know, he knows that that's really All Might. I really do believe Stain knows that's All Might. I think he's just playing along with the fact that he didn't know him, because I think Stain's a smart enough character to say like, no, that's definitely All Might and stuff like that. I mean, now he may have had a hard time believing it, but you know, I guarantee, I bet you he knew that's who All Might was and stuff like that. Because remember, he was listening on the conversation between All Might and Deku and everything, so I definitely could see that and everything. But the fact that Stain gave the inspiration is essentially finding ways to give inspiration to All Might is pretty crazy. Remember, you know, Stain, even though he does kill heroes, and that is morally wrong, you know, you can say Stain is essentially an anti-hero. Like, you know, yes, he does bad things, but at the same time, you know, he really has his own view of what he sees. And yes, is it a kind of a corrupted type of view of what heroes should be? Yes. But essentially, like he says, he calls out the fakers, which essentially that's why he's called the hero killer Stain, and stuff like that. He kills heroes because he doesn't feel like those are their, you know, right heroes. And he goes on to make the mention how he said he killed 40 heroes. Now, I believe total, the last time we saw him, we know that he killed 17 heroes. Now he said 40 heroes. Now, you have to wonder, did he kill some of the heroes that Upton just gave up and hung up their boots and stuff like that? Maybe he actually did go, because I think I did make for my chapter reviews, hinting at the fact that what if now that Hero Killer Stain is out, what if he went after the heroes that quit and the ones that just stop working their job? Maybe he did that, and maybe he killed more heroes that walked out and aren't doing their jobs like he would probably expect them to do. But I think it was pretty cool that Stain gave the inspiration to All Might to, I guess you can say, have a renewed, you know, vigoration, a passion to find a way to get back in this fight and at least contribute to something. Whether he does get rewinded into his buff form and stuff like that, we'll see. But it's definitely be interesting to see where the story goes now. I definitely didn't expect this chapter to be, you know, something revolved around All Might and Stain. I figured it would be revolved around All Might with the cliffhanger we left off in chapter 325, but the fact that it involves Stain, crazy stuff. So again, like every other week, I don't know when it's going to frickin' when the next I guess you can say what the next chapter is going to be about. So it's going to be very interesting to say the least. But definitely enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed this chapter, and I definitely liked where it's going to go. So yes, in terms of when the next chapter 327 is going to release, it's going to release in 9 days, which puts us essentially. And when I go to my calendar, it puts us. The next chapter will come back. In 9 days, essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Essentially, back on Sundays, on September 26th. So essentially a week. So yeah, but that's when we're gonna get the next My Hero Academia chapter, stuff like that. And I just realized, good God, we're only halfway done with the month of September. Holy crap, we're about to get in. Time's going by so damn fast, people. Where are you gonna get into frickin' October soon? My goodness. And funny enough, the My Hero Academia third movie is gonna be coming out in October on the 29th. So yeah, but other than that, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. So we'll see you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Other than that, that's it. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's manga chapter of My Hero Academia, as well as hit the subscribe button to get more My Hero Academia content, whether it's the anime or the manga and stuff like that. I know that anime is coming to an end, but eventually season 6 is going to be coming sooner rather than later. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night when you check out this video. Until then, guys, catch you guys in the next video. Peace.